आयुष आवाज आती है?
यस सर।
ठीक
सर, ऑडिबल यू आर।
ठीक ठीक।
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Vilayat Khan sir about to join. He has joined. He is in attendee link. 1 minute.
मैम उन्होंने किसी दूसरे नाम से ज्वाइन किया है क्या?
दोनों सेम नाम से हैं, ये मुझे दिख रहे हैं। मैं इनको प्रमोट कर रही हूँ। मोहम्मद
मेहराब मोहसिन खान।
हाँ जी।
ठीक है, मैं कर देता हूँ मैम।
Have you? Hello?
Yeah.
हेलो।
Yes, sir, you have joined as a panelist. Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir, you have a... Virwan sir?
Yes, madam. Should we start, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Very good morning to all. I am Nirwan Ingole, Assistant Professor. On the behalf of Sri Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya, feels privileged to welcome you all to the 4th day of the Faculty Development Program. Before the session begins, it is my pleasure to introduce today's session speaker, Professor Dr. Vilayat Hussain Khan. Dr. Khan is a chair of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology Department at Delta Medical College, Dhaka, Bangladesh. He is the Office Secretary of the Medico-Legal Society of Bangladesh and the board member of APMLA. He holds postgraduate degree in Forensic Medicine and Toxicology under the University of the Dhaka and Bangladesh College of Physicians and Surgeons. Dr. Khan has many national and international papers on medical ethics and forensic science, and he appears as an expert witness in the penal courts of Bangladesh. Today, we are grateful that he has connected with us all the way from Bangladesh. With these few words, I would like to call Dr. Khan for his scientific deliberation. Over to you, sir.
Hello, thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum and namaskar. I am Professor Dr. Mohammad Bilayat Hussain Khan from Bangladesh. I am very glad as you have invited me for giving a lecture, giving a lecture on medical ethics in Sri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya of Forensic Science, Vaishnav Vishwavidyalaya of
Swati, video on the Sarkar?
Yes, sir, I have requested you.
सर मैंने रिक्वेस्ट डाल दी है यहाँ पे
yes, Vaishnav Sri Vaishnav Institute of Forensic Science, Sri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya Indore of Madhya Pradesh of India. Thank you so much, everyone. And in this online one-week faculty development program on recent advancement in forensic crime in criminal justice system, I am one speaker, and I am a professor and doctor also. So I have decided to decide my topics of lecture as and forensic on medical ethics. Do you listen my?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Your video is off,
Yeah.
Dr. Sir. Your video is off. Dr. Binayak,
Yes.
your video is off.
Video off, yes.
Yes.
But
We are getting your voice.
Now on, sir.
Now you are visible, sir.
Now you.
Oh, namaskar.
video.
Khan Sahab, namaskar.
Video is open. Now video open.
Yes.
Now?
It is
yes
okay.
sir, now you are visible.
Yes, visible.
Yes sir.
Namaskar, Dr. Binayak Khan.
Dr. Bilayat Khan. And I will see my topics of lecture.
Yes, sir. Are you, sir?
मैम
Please,
इफेक्ट्स वाला प्ले करना है या
Yeah, first.
okay, just a second मैम.
Topics of lecture. Yes. My topics is medical ethics. It's very important for all doctors all over the world. So the main topics is Geneva Declaration of Geneva, and it will finally considered as the declaration with the meeting of World Medical Association, and first the Declaration of Geneva. Before that, the oath was given by declaration of WME for World Medical Association. Then
Are you, sir?
the next.
Yes,
Please
sir.
change the slide.
Yes. Yes, I am telling you the Hippocratic oath. So it is mentioned as Declaration of Geneva, and the Declaration of Geneva is started in 1948 in Geneva of Switzerland, and it is in 1949 in London by the Assembly of the World Forensic or World Medical Association. Now I have to give you topics of foreign medical ethics, objectives of medical ethics. At the end of the session, the participants will be able to describe the principles of medical ethics, describe the Declaration of Geneva 1948, describe the International Code of Medical Ethics, and Helsinki Declaration. Ethics is a study of morality, careful systemic reflection and analysis of mood, decisions, and behavior of physicians. Morality is the value dimensions of decisions making and behavior, rights, responsibilities, and versus good or bad, right or wrong, just or unjust. Ethics is a matter of knowing, and morality is a matter of doing. Ethics deals with all aspects of human behavior and decision making with moral issues in medical practice. Bioethics is concerned with the moral issues raised in the biological sciences. Concept of medicine as a profession. Physicians make a public promise that they will place interest of their patients above their own interests. Ethics is influenced by human rights, law, society, expectation. Medicine is such a profession that is highly valued by, I could not see, valued who need to service to meet expectation of by patients and students. Physicians know and exemplify the contents of values of medicine: compassion, competence, autonomy. This value, along with respect, fundamental human rights, serve the foundation of medical ethics. Though physicians are expected to exemplify them to a very high degree. Now, I would like to speak something in Declaration of the World Medical Association from 1970 to 2001. The Declaration of Oslo. First, I have told you that the in the third assembly of World Medical Association, the Geneva Declaration has been accepted. It is on 1949. And then 1949, and then it is changed in different times. In 1970, the Declaration of Oslo, and that is depends the changes of therapeutic abortion. In 1973, Declaration of Munich, racial, political discrimination, etc. in medicine. In 1975, Declaration of Tokyo. In 1975, the Declaration of Helsinki also. And in 1981, the Declaration of Lisbon, Rights of the Patients. In 1983, in Declaration of Venice, Terminal Illness. In 1983, the Declaration of Oslo, that is changed in therapeutic abortion. In 1984, the Declaration of Sao Paulo, pollution. In 1987, in the Declaration of Madrid, professional autonomy and self-regulation. In 1987, Declaration of the Rancomares, medical education. In 1989, Declaration of Hong Kong, the abuse of the elderly. In 1995, Declaration of the Lisbon, the rights of the patients. And in 1996, Declaration of Helsinki, it is important, biomedical research involving human subjects. In 1997, Declaration of Hamburg, support of doctors refusing to participation in torture or other forms of cruelty in humans, and regarding treatment. In 1998, Declaration of Ottawa, the right of the child to health care. And then there is amendment also, amendment was passed in Paris. Here is not here, but I have to tell you that in 2006, in Declaration of Paris, here the amendment, 8th amendment was here, the amendment, and amendment and revised in 2006, the amendment of Declaration of Geneva of 1948 in Paris. It is amendment and revised in the World Medical Association Conference in Paris 2006. And there is a very big changes, that is other this before, that is the dealings of the medical professionals or colleagues, which will be. So it is changes that it is changes as my colleagues will be my sisters and brothers. Before that, it was like that that my colleagues will be my only brothers. And then finally, in 2017, amendment by the 68th World Medical Association of General Assembly, Chicago, United States, in October 1917. And there is much more changes amended, and that is in that cases, I will respect the, and that is I will respect my passion, my teachers. I will give to my teachers and respect and gratitude which is their due, and my colleagues will be my sisters and brothers. Instead of these two things compiled in one, and that is in 2017 in Chicago. It was in the, it was in one point that I will give to my teachers, colleagues, and students the respect and gratitude that is their due. That means what is my duties to my teachers and students and colleagues also. In these two topics points have come to one point, and like this I will give to my teachers, colleagues, and students the respect and gratitude which is their due in one point also. And now I am telling the Geneva Declaration in which was by Geneva Declaration. Number one, I solemnly pledged myself to concentrate my life to the service of humanity. I will give to my teachers the respect and gratitude which is their due. I have told this that in 2017 in Chicago in October, so it is changed, which was their due, and this, that is I could not change this. Okay. In 7, and number 7, my colleagues will be my brothers and sisters. And I have told earlier that I have I will give my utmost respect to my teachers. This too is there is some problem here also.
Sir, we can change from our side only because
Yes.
we have shared the screen. Is it okay to you, sir?
No, I have not. There is no page cover also.
Yeah. Are sir, please
Yes, ma'am.
backslide.
Okay.
Backside or front side. I could not. It could not clear. Yes.
Is it okay, sir?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
But no. Geneva Declaration that is continue, not backside or front side. It is not. Not I could go in front or backside.
So there are 10 points in declaration.
Yes, Geneva 10 points.
Yes,
Geneva
sir.
10 points, and I have told that in 7 points, my colleagues will be my brothers and sisters.
Yes, sir.
And duties are to my teachers also. And the last point is even under threat, I will not use my medical knowledge contrary to the laws of humanity. And
Yes, sir.
I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor. These were first times Geneva Declaration.
Yes, sir.
and International Code of Medical
Ethics.
Yes, but very slow.
Sir, it is the slide of International Code of Medical Ethics.
Yes,
Is
yes,
it okay, sir?
yes. International Code of Medical Ethics.
Yes, sir.
Yes, but
Sir,
I could not go to the front line.
sir, you may open your PPT in your laptop also.
But
Sir, is my screen visible to you? Can you show my screen, sir?
I think not.
Yes, ma'am.
duties in general,
Yes, sir. Duties in general. Yes, sir.
but
Yes, sir.
I could not get it front or back also.
Okay.
Duties in general, I will give from my Facebook. International Code of Medical Ethics, duties in general. Yes.
Yes, sir.
International Code of Medical Ethics, duties in general. A doctor must always maintain the highest standard of professional conduct. A doctor must practice his profession uninfluenced by motives of profit. Following practice are deemed unethical. Any self-advertisement except such is explicitly authorized by the National Code of Medical Ethics. B. Collaboration in any forms of medical service in which doctor has no professional independence. Receiving any money in connection with services rendering to a part of other than proper professional fees, even with the knowledge of the patient. Any act or advice which could weaken physical and mental resistance a human being may be used only in her interest. A doctor is advised to use great caution in involving the discoveries of the new techniques on treatment. A doctor should certify or testify only to that which is personally verified. International Code of Medical Ethics, duties towards sick. A doctor must always bear in mind the obligation of preserve human life. The doctor owes to his patient complete loyalty and all the resources of the science. Whenever the examination or treatment beyond his capacity, he should summon another doctor who has the necessarily ability. A doctor shall preserve absolute secrecy. And this is very important in all the knowledge about his patient because of the confidence entrusted him. This is very important, and we have seen in my Geneva Declaration also, a doctor must give emergency care as a humanitarian duty unless he is ensured that others are willing or give such care. Duties of doctors to each other. A doctor ought to behave to his colleagues. He would have them behave to him. Which he likes to behave from others to him, she should believe this. A doctor must not tease patients from colleagues. A doctor must observe the principles of Declaration of Geneva approved by the Medical Association. Summary: History of medical ethics, dilemma of medical ethics, central area of medical ethics, Geneva Declaration.
Sir, should I share second one?
Yes.
Second presentation?
Oh yes, second presentation also.
Are you, sir?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Which one is the second presentation?
Anyone you can share.
Okay, ma'am.
Vilayat, sir?
Yes, sir.
Sir, Dr. M.P. Gautam, sir, is also here. He is senior professor at Sri Vaishnav Institute of Forensic Science. And
Yes.
Dr. Anupama Raina ma'am is also here.
Yes, thanks also.
She is from AIMS Delhi.
Yes.
Sir, we met in 13 Imams Congress, Bangladesh in 2019. Dhaka.
Also,
Yes,
dignity. Now, dignity is in dignity and ethics for professional educators. Dignity. UNESCO Constitution of 1945, wide diffuse of culture and the education of humanity and justice for justice, liberty and peace are indispensable to the dignity of man. Universal Declaration of the Bioethics and Human Rights. Human dignity, human rights, and fundamental freedoms are to be fully respected. The interest and welfare of the individual should have priority over the sole interest of science or society. What is dignity? Dignity refers to the presentation of honor and esteem for personal merit inherited or achieved. Number 2, no human should be treated or regarded as subject. Dignity signifies an innate right to respect. Dignity is used to mark a threshold, a kind of respect and care beneath which you cannot treat a human being. And human dignity is connected with human rights also. Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948, Universal Dignity Declaration of Human Rights. We have to tell this. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. All human beings are equal in dignity irrespective of gender, age, social status, caste, religion, and ethnicity. A good teacher brings in attitudinal change, behavioral change among with his students, learners, facilitates learning and further learning in a non-threatening environment to understand and perform. It's very important, and a good teacher have all these properties. A good teacher is a good teacher. I mean, I want to say in a good medical teacher also. A good teacher in the professional educator is the professional educator with good communication skill and transfer knowledge skills. A good teacher inculcates learning attitude among learners, students, involving them in the process of learning in the friendly atmosphere. This is very important. And ethics in medical profession. Ethics was applied in medical profession since ancient Egyptian. I go to the back also. Code of Hammurabi was seen in Egyptian papyrus dated in 16th century BC. I don't want to say this. Hammurabi sets free fees according to social status of the patients and set code of physicians and surgeons. Then ethics. The Hippocratic oath was based on ethics. Hippocratic oath, the responsibility defines medical professionalism, patient-doctor relationship of confidentiality and informed consent. Next. Patient will not be at risk of their life for the sake of science. Any role by teachers and students. That is important. So what is understood by ethics? And we understand by ethics. Ethics is considered at the ground on which humanity stands for compatible existence. Ethics is based on moral, physiological, and religious principles in a society in which it is practiced. It may vary from culture to culture. Principles alone do not lead to ethical decision, but decisions without principles are ethically important, ethically empty. Is ethics relevant to healthcare management? Educational management? Yes. Yes. Ethical principles or norms have to be followed the health system in public, healthcare, health research and health science education, as well as in use of technology in education. Rights of students and educator. Educator here we means the teachers, maybe. Though the professional educators acts with coincidental effort to exemplify the highest educational and ethical standards. There are 4 basic principles: integrity, responsibility, responsibility, respect and dignity, and justice and care. First, integrity. Okay. Ethics. The health professionals, non-maleficence, beneficence, autonomy, equity and justice. Educator, integrity, responsibility, respect, dignity, justice and care. Next. Integrity by creating and maintaining appropriate professional relationship, acting with impartially, truthfulness and honesty. Responsibility by giving priority to the education and welfare of all students in our care, engaging in ongoing professional development and improving teaching and learning strategies. Working collaborators are cooperatively with colleagues in the best interest of the education and welfare of our students. Respect by acknowledging that relationship with students and others and their families must be based on mutual respect, trust, and where necessary, confidentiality, acting with community in ways which enhance the profession. Confidentiality is also very much important. Dignity by valuing this, diverting and treating students equitably and with care and compassion while respecting the uniqueness of family background, valuing the efforts of potential and acknowledging the uniqueness of these students. Justice by being fair and reasonable, being committed to the well-being and individuals and the community and to the common good, resolving competing claims of different ethical principles and different interest groups through reflecting professional discussion. Care by having empathy for and rapport with students and their families and caregivers, colleagues and communities. Communicating to students' well-being and learning through the practice of positive influence, professional judgment and empathy to practice. Code of ethics. The code potentially health, safety, and general welfare of the students and educators outlines objective standards of conduct for the professional educators and clearly confined actions of an unethical nature for which disciplinary sanction are justified. Standard 1. An educator should demonstrate conduct that follows generally recognized professional standards. Next, ethical conduct includes but is not limited to the following: encouraging and supporting colleagues in the development and maintenance is high standards, respecting fellow educators and participating in the development of a professional and supportive teaching environment, engaging in a variety of individual and collaborative learning experiences essential to developing professional in order to promote students' learning. Unethical conduct includes, but it is not limited to the following: harassment of colleagues. It's very important. Harassment of colleagues, misuse or misarrangement of test and test materials, inappropriate language on school ground, physical altercation, and failure to provide appropriate supervision of students. It is very important. An educator should exemplify honesty and integrity in the course of professional practice. Ethical conduct includes, but is not limited to the following: properly representing facts concerning an educational matter in direct or indirect public expression, advocating for fair and equitable opportunities of the for all children, embodying for students of the characteristics of intellectual honesty, diplomacy, tact, and fairness. Unethical conduct includes, but is not limited to, the following: falsifying, misrepresenting, omitting, or erroneously reporting professional qualifications, criminal record, or employment history when applying for employment or certification. Falsify, misrepresentative, omitting, or erroneously reporting informations submitted to fairly state and or other governmental agencies. Falsify, misinterpretation, omitting, or reporting information regarding the evaluation of students and or personnel. Falsifying, misinterpretation, omitting, or reporting reasons for absence or leaves. And another is falsifying, misinterpretation, omitting, or erroneously reporting information submitted to the course in the course of an official inquiry or individuality or investigation. An educator should abide the federal, state, and local laws and status. I could not, next. An educator should always maintain a professional relationship with all students, both in and outside the classroom. It is very much important. Next. Ethical conduct includes, but is not limited to, the following: fulfilling the roles of trusted confidant, mentor, and advocate the students into growth. Physical, emotional, social, and civic potential of all students is very much important. Next. Providing an environmental that does not needlessly expose students to unnecessary embarrassment or discouragement. Creating, supporting, and the maintaining of challenging learning environment for all students. Next. Unethical conduct includes, but it is not limited to, the following: committing any act of child abuse, including physical and verbal abuse. It is important. Committing any act of cruelty to children or any act of child endangerment. Committing or soliciting any unlawful sexual act. Engaging in harassing behavior on the basis of race, gender, national origin, religion, or disability. Soliciting, encouraging, or consummating an inappropriate written, verbal, or physical relationship with the students. Furnishing tobacco, alcohol, or illegal or unauthorized drugs to any students, or allowing a student to consume alcohol or illegal unauthorized drug. Alcohol, drug, and tobacco use or profession. An educator should refrain from the use of alcohol and or tobacco during the course of the professional practice and should never use illegal or unauthorized drug. An educator entrusted with public funds and properly should honor that trust with high level of honesty, accuracy, and responsibility. Ethical conduct includes, but is not limited to, the following: maximizing the positive effects of school funds. School here means the medical institution or medical university or medical colleges also, through judicial use of said funds, modeling for students and colleagues the responsible of public property. Misusing public or school-related funds, failing to account for funds collection from students or parents. It is very much important. Submitting fraudulence request for reimbursement of the expenses or for pay, and using school property without the approval of the local board of education or governing body. An educator should maintain integrity with students, colleagues, parents, patrons, or businesses when accepting gifts, gratitudes, favor, and additional compensation. This is very much important. Ensuring that institutional privileges are not used for personal gain. Ensuring that school policies and procedures are not impacted by gifts or gratuities from the person or organizations. We can more or less know that soliciting students or parents of students to purchase equipment, supplies, or services from the educator, or to participate in activities that financially benefit the educator unless approved by the local governing body. Accepting gifts from vendor or politicians or potential vendors for personal use of gain where there appears to be conflict interest. Tutoring students assigned to the educator for remuneration unless approved by the local board of authority. Next, not necessary. The educator should comply with this state or federal laws and local school board policies relating the confidentiality of student and personal records, standardized test materials, and other information covered by confidentiality agreements. Then next. An educator should fulfill all the terms and obligations detailed to the conduct with the local board of education or educational agency for the duration of the contract. I have told this that we all should know this, and so I am give a space or choice something others more. Next. 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 Educators need to be both professionally sound as well as ethically sound in the practicing their profession, applying the ethical principles, equity, and code of conduct. This is very much important, and this is the summary of all. Thank you so much.
Now, sir, can we share last one also?
Last one.
Yes, sir. You have sent me 3 PPTs.
Yes.
So, is it required to share last one also, sir?
Yes, last one is.
Yeah. Are you, sir? Yes.
Patients' rights, privacy, confidentiality, and informed consent. It is informed consent is very much important. Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Universal Declaration of Human Rights recognize the inherent dignity, equal and unalienable rights of all the members of human. The notion of patient rights is owed to the patient by the physician and the state. Patient's rights are proportional obligation of the physician towards the patient. Patient's right varies from country to country. We should remember that patient's rights varies from country to country. All patients have a fundamental rights of privacy and confidentiality to consent to or to refuse treatment. Privacy, right of privacy, fundamental rights of all patients have a fundamental rights of privacy. This is important, and confidentiality to consent to or refuse treatment. He may refuse treatment by his personal choice to see a doctor. Consent. We have to know about the consent is very much important, that we should not do anything in the body of others, that is patients. So consent, if we can treat or diagnose or sign symptoms to see the patient, we have to take consent from the patient. The definition of consent is the permission given by or something. There is consent means his permission. So permission is also, and we have no right to touch or for my interest, though it is for my personal physical interest or treatment also, but it will be by his permission. This is consent. The definition of consent is the permission given for something. It may be for treatment, for diagnosis, also for procedures of diagnosis. It comes from the Latin consistere, meaning to feel or sense with. Consent is of 2 types broadly: implied consent and expressed consent. And we can again divide it expressed consent, that is expression by expression, and implied. It's implied by showing the application so that we see, it seems to me that he is giving the consent to show the action, impelled consent, and expressed consent is oral or verbal consent. That is, verbally is to something, and written consent also. Impelled consent, when the patient presents himself to a doctor in his or her private practicing chamber or in a hospital, outpatient, or in a clinic. This applies to simple procedures like inspection, palpation, percussion, and auscultation, but do not apply to complex or advanced procedures. That is, examination like vaginal or rectal examination, examination of private parts, etc., always should be considered beyond the impelled consent. This has another important is consent, implied consent also. Expressed consent, the one when I give an injection, he says that I used his abdomen or hand, there is his illness, I am his hand, he gave me his hands to show me. It is impelled consent, but we have not right to see or watch the very important organs also, like stated below. Consent, when the patient expresses it with some way of communication distinctly and can be recorded as evidence, and it is recorded as evidence. Expressed, it is of two types, actually written or verbal, written, and another is oral or verbal consent. Expressed consent is two types. That is oral and or verbal consents. This type of expressed consent are obtained for minor examination procedure or therapeutic procedure, sample of blood collection for diagnostic purpose, need an expressed consent. Also, he has to tell that I will I will collect your blood. So this is okay. She said this is oral consent. A written consent, oral and written, two types of expressed consent. A documentary evidence. Written is documentary, which is also important in courts also. A documentary evidence of expressed consent as it has been expressed in writing for all major diagnostic procedure, so that is in laparoscopy and others also, laparoscopy or endoscopy, etc. For all major diagnostic procedures, intervention or operation procedure, and general anesthesia, it is mandatory to have a written consent. I again repeat that for all major diagnostic procedures, inventional, that is inventional and operational procedures, and general anesthesia is mandatory to have written consent. It will written in clearly, not simple. The authority is not liable. Whether any, I will give consent to give the operation. If there is any harm, the authority is not. So many people think this is not liable. Not not this. Everybody, it is liable. It may be medical legal consent. Everyone medical legal consent, that is when we examine some medical legal examinations or tests, which is medical legal, that is which is done by the order of the legal authority, that is police or magistrate or judiciary or courts. So this is called medical legal consent, and he has to give the consent, which must be written and informed consent also. Everybody has a legal right to do what he likes with his body in order to protect his health and personal privacy. Therefore, any treatment to the patient which relates the interference with her body, that is examination of intervention of unlawful unless the patient consents. If court has, we know that court has any power or moot power. If a court orders for something like that, the vaginal examination for committing rape examination, or we can do the postmortem examination. Is not postmortem examination when it is not the question of consent. When the legal authority, that is police or magistrate, give any for any request us, order us for autopsy or medical legal examinations, rape or adultery or bestiality, like something sexual offenses, natural or unnatural or others, it should be not valuable, not valuable unless the legal authority gives permission. Legal authority gives order to a doctor for examine this, but until we give, we will not give even the we will not give the permission of the from the patient. We do not do. We will not examine the body of the patient. That is when the patient refuses to examination himself by herself, then we should not do, though it is in any court order. Except something is exceptional where the patient okay. Everybody has the legal right to what he likes with his body in order to protect his health and personal privacy. Therefore, any treatment to a patient which relates the interference with her body, that is examination of the intervention, is lawful unless the patient consents. Okay, this is, and then next, blanket consent. The practice of blanket consent exists in many parts of our country, in many countries also, in many clinics, nursing homes and hospitals, where invalid in the eyes of the law. Where it is valid. A blanket consent is when it is written like, I hereby authorized to perform any aesthetic or surgical procedure on me, like this. And this is informed consent is very much important, and we should do all things, procedure of the consent, procedure the examination before the consent. We tell all things to the we tell all things to the patient, that how we can do the examination, what physical organ we shall do. Its result maybe it's on within him side or against her side, something like this. This is adverse and disadvantage of this examination. So if we should inform all this to the patient, and then he informed all this. So it is informed consent. Then he gives me the consent. This is called informed consent. That is, the doctor or hospital must be obtain a consent from the patient after informing all relevant informations about the procedures and even the alternative procedure available for the particular procedures, as well as consequences or prognosis after the intervention. All things he has to give, he has to know all this. 3 conditions need to be fulfilled in informed consent. Which are the number 1, free will of the patient without any influences, pressure, or coercion. That is, without any influence or pressure. That is his personal opinion. Information where the patient will receive all the relevant information regarding his condition and purpose of treatment. We can do this for treatment also and for medical legal examination also. We can do this. And in medical legal examination, informed consent is very much important, very much needs, and also in treatment also. Our competence of the patient to make decision on informed consent. Competence to patient to make decision for informed consent. Then, therapeutic privilege. The doctor can withhold information from a patient which might cause psychological threat. This is therapeutic privilege. There are reported incidents of committing suicide following disclosure of incurable illness, that is cancer, HIV, AIDS also, etc. This must be happen in cases of nervous or anxious patients. Therapeutic waiver. A patient also have a right to waive off his right of entitlement of disclose of information to him or her by a doctor. This is termed as therapeutic waiver. Age of consent. It's very much important. The consenting age of a medical examination is 12 years. Medical examination is 12 years. 12-year-old patient may give consent. But in case of children below 12 years, consent from the guardian, legal guardian, is required. In case of patient of unsound mind, the condition is same. A guardian or custodial can give consent on behalf of him or her. That is, age of consent is 12 years. But in case of in below 12 years, there is consent of guardians, legal guardian is required. And in case of unsound mind patients, the guardian and custodian can also be consent, but 18 years is the consenting age for any adult for any medical examination, invasive procedures where it is a diagnostic procedure, operative or general anesthesia. 18 years. Invalid consent. Consent is any consent by any insane person, person of unsound mind, and intoxicated person is not invalid. That is, consent of insane, mentally unsound person and intoxicated person. Either consent, this consent is not valid. It is invalid. Validity of consent, it is a written consent in a proper format for the specific procedures or intervention and should be witnessed by another person to avoid any future obligation about validity of consent. That is, we should in a consent examination, we should write, and there is a witness. There is a witness, one or two. Some are says that is two witness, and we can write the relation of the patients also. He may be a hospital authority, or hospital servant, or his friend also will be therefore witness. Thank you. Another?
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thanks. Most welcome.
Nirvan, sir. Sir, here I want to say that you have explained Helsinki Declaration.
Helsinki Declaration.
So we used to follow Helsinki Declaration for ethical clearance of human-related research work in our institute also. The guideline of Helsinki Declaration.
I've told this possibly.
Yes, sir.
Human experimentations and clinical trials. This is
Yes,
very
sir.
much important. And this Declaration of Helsinki is in 1975. So in this 1975, the Declaration of Tokyo was torture, about the torture, and the Helsinki Declaration is also in the same year in 1975. Human experimentation and clinical trial. Clinical
trials.
Yes. Experimentation korbo. Now we should do is do something that is other animals or the other things. So, oh, not human.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Nirvan, sir, over to you.
Okay, madam. Participants are requested to raise their hand or to put their questions into the chat box if they have. I think there are no questions. So thank you so much, sir, for being with us and enlightening us with your knowledge. And now, due to the permission of the coordinator, convener, and the speaker, I allow us to complete the session.
No, sir. May I request Dr. MP Gautam, sir, for his concluding remark?
Okay,
Gautam,
you're almost welcome.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
So, thanks.
Gautam, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Most welcome.
Dr. Bilal Khan, namaskar. Are you getting my voice? Namaskar. আপনি কেমন আছেন?
Alhamdulillah, bhalo. You are from West Bengal.
No, I'm a half Bengali.
Oh, from Srinagar also.
আপনার সুস্বাগতম.
Okay.
So thank you very much for your kind.
From Bikrampur.
No, Kolkata.
Oh, Kolkata, yes.
Previously, my in-laws were in Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh.
Yes.
Now I am in Raipur.
Okay. Very good.
So very nice to, because Swati always talked about you. So I was
Yes.
very much anxious to meet you.
Yes.
Okay.
If
So
I come to Kolkata,
Yes.
I will meet you also.
Okay. Certainly I will tell you.
I have an intention to go to Kolkata.
No,
also.
I will have a separate discussion on this subject.
Okay.
I like this medical legal profession.
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Basically, I would like to thank you on behalf of this department, this university, and on behalf of the participant, that they could get knowledge on a very significant topic, that is medical ethics. I am very much thankful to also that you have mentioned regarding the ethics. Ethics are related to human behavior, and are similarly you have also told about the influence about them, means the influence by human rights.
Yes.
It is directly related to the medical profession and forensic science, laws, and
Yes.
even society, which have some expectation with us.
Yes.
So these ethics are to be followed in every kind of profession. So we should not act in any way that is against the society and humanitarian ground.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in every part of the life, ethics have importance. Whether it is a professional ethics, either ethics in our conduct within society.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes. Sure.
So you have very well defined that ethics are related to the human behavior and are influenced by human rights, law, and society. And specifically, you have concentrated over the doctors.
Yes.
And that is, they should always maintain the highest standard. You have especially said on that the highest standard of the professional conduct. Okay.
Okay.
I like that we as a forensic scientist have to follow the ethics. And fortunately, we have this thing in our syllabus also. What are the ethical values in our forensic profession? Okay. So we should have humanitarian approach in every aspect in our profession. And if some power has been given to us, suppose we have power to write an opinion, we have to visit the scene of crime, we have to examine a trace amount.
Yes.
So these should not be misused at any cost.
Yes.
Every time ethics should be remembered. And as far as the limitations are concerned, every profession, every person has its own limitation. So boundaries should not be crossed.
Yes.
I am talking because I am having long experience of the forensic science laboratory. I attended so many courts, interacted with the medical legal officers. So the thing is that forensic science should not cross the limit and should not give opinion to the medical point.
Yes.
And medical legal expert is expected. They should not write about the presence of such and such. I have seen so many PM reports. Doctors write this thing, and in the end they generally write. However, no opinion could be given regarding the cause of death. However, Bisra should be preserved for the
Yes.
examination.
Yes.
So every time, it is a good practice. They could not get any conclusion on the basis of their examination.
Yes.
And similarly, the forensic science should not give the kind of wound,
Yes.
whether it is a matter of ballistic. So there are limitation of the forensic professional working is always should be remembered to maintain the dignity of the criminal justice system. So thank you
Yes.
very much. You have accepted our proposal, and you have in the beginning you are having some problem with the this internet, but I will also I will request to Swati Madam,
Yes, sir.
specifically any program should be organized. And I am very much lucky that I am working in such a university that our Honorable Vice Chancellor is very much interested in the forensic science, in the development of the forensic science, in the interest of the justice and law. He always tell me that you bring some people, a police personnel, you bring some lawyers and get interact to promote the forensic science. So once again, I am thankful. Your presentation was very influential, informative, and effective also. Thank you very much.
Yes. Most welcome, you are, and regards.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Namaskar.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
Okay, the next session will be start at the scheduled time. And now with the permission of the coordinator, I announce us to close the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. See you.